Let's play thought experiment. Imagine if there were no Candace Owens right now. I know a lot of people would revel in that. That would be a fantasy to some. But imagine, what would the world look like right now? What would happen? Where would Erika Kirk be? Where would Charlie be? Would he even be alive? Let's let that one go, okay? Well, where would TPUSA be? Where would the discussion be? One of the ways to determine how something has added to society or a civilization is to ask what it will be like if it wasn't there. Imagine a world without anesthesia. Imagine a world without antibiotics. Imagine a world without Candace Owens. I'm serious about this. Think about this, because sometimes in order to assess her worth, you have to do kind of a reverse, somewhat ghoulish, but not really, way of reverse engineering of what it would look like without her. Imagine what it would look like if Candace Owens not so much wasn't alive, but never spoke up, wasn't who she was. Imagine the silence. Imagine the empty space where questions should be. Imagine how many stories would have ended early, how many lies would have gone unchallenged, how many very powerful people would be sleeping a lot better. It would have smiled and walked away without answering for anything. And we're not even done with that yet. Without her voice, many people would never have stopped to look deeper at what happened after Charlie Kirk was murdered. The story would have been wrapped up neatly. There would have been a few speeches, maybe a few headlines, a post here and there. And then the public would have been told, move on. Nothing to see here. Good day. Get along, little doggy. No digging, no follow-up, no uncomfortable questions. Just closure. Thank you. That a closure that felt fake and fast and unreal and unnecessary. But Candace didn't accept that. She slowed the moment down tremendously. She did something which is really incredible. She did something which, in a way, is so different than most people do. She followed through. She told people to look again. She reminded the public that truth doesn't run on a schedule, and justice doesn't happen just because somebody says the right words on camera. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Because of her, people started paying attention to what was happening inside Turning Point USA. Because of her, people began seriously questioning the decisions made after Charlie's death. Because of her, the spotlight turned toward Erika Kirk. America's favorite, America's beauty queen. And the stories that didn't line up the way they should have. Without Candace, much of this would have stayed, hidden in the dark kind of world, the protected world, protected by silence and politeness. And what makes Candace different? It's not just what she talks. A lot of people talk. What makes her different is that she doesn't stop when it gets hard. She keeps going. When the pressure builds, she keeps going when people attack her. She keeps going when the internet turns ugly and the crowd gets loud. And we don't even know half of what she goes through. See, that's bravery. That's the kind you see in movies. But the real kind, by the way, well, ideally in movies, the idyllic hero. But unfortunately, that's not real life. The kind of heroism that we see is the kind that costs something, the kind that makes people very uncomfortable, the kind that makes very powerful people nervous. You see, my dear friend, as you know, there's a reason why. There's a reason why she gets so much hate. It's not because she's wrong. It's because she refuses to play the game. She doesn't bow to fake unity. She doesn't bow, by the way, to those who seek to control her. She doesn't pretend that everything is fine when it's not. And she doesn't trade truth for approval and approbation. She understands something very simple and strong. If you stay quiet, and this should be a lesson to people, when you stay quiet when something is wrong, you help the wrong grow. And if you look away, you become part of the problem. If you choose comfort over courage, you give power to people who don't deserve it. Candace Owens chose courage. Because of that choice, look at us now. More people started asking questions. We're starting to ask questions. More people stopped accepting easy answers, and it inspires us to ask questions elsewhere. Look at Epstein and other aspects, other questions. War and foreign policy. More people realize that politics is not just about parties and slogans. It's about right and wrong. It's about who gets protected and who gets ignored. It's about whether the truth still matters, and it would be very easy and very profitable for her just to get along. Say what you say. Give in. Quit. You got a family. Quit fighting. Okay, look, you can do 80% of what you want to do, or 80% of what you want to say, but the 20%, would it kill you to give in? Make a little scratch on the side? Come on. Whoever has enough money, huh? And you'd be just as powerful. Nobody would know the difference. In fact, you wouldn't have to say anything, just not talk about it. But she said, no. She showed people that you do not need permission to speak, and you can do anything you goddamn well want to. And you don't need approval to stand up. And you don't need a crowd to start doing the right thing. One voice, one human, one American can break a wall if it's loud enough and honest enough. And that's why the world is better with her in it. And that's not an exaggeration. Not because she's perfect. She's not. Nobody is. But she's real. She's authentic. She's honest. She's direct. She's relentless. She doesn't quit when it gets uncomfortable. That's a message. She doesn't soften her words to make liars feel better. She reminds people that being brave is not about being popular. Believe me. It's about being honest. And it's about standing up even when your legs might shake a little bit. It's about showing up for the fight. It's about telling the truth, even when your voice gets tired, even if you're just wondering, should I be putting myself and my family through this? It'd be so much easier. Again, just be quiet about certain subjects. Just move on. No, but you can still devote your time to other matters that matter. Without Candace, many young people, would probably still think that politics is fake. Well, it is, and pointless. It is sometimes, but not here. Without her, many would still believe that whatever shows up on their screen must be true, right? Without her, many people would never learn to question power and do it bravely and with joy, to challenge narratives, to challenge lies, to challenge the official storyline. She taught people to think. And you know what? Thinking, as you know, is very dangerous. It's very dangerous to people who want control. She made it normal to ask why. She also made it very acceptable to say that this does not make sense. That's probably the best thing to say. Huh? Sometimes it takes guts to say, huh? What? Wait a minute, what was that? Try that again. What? Come again. What? That's how it starts. How many people just say, oh, absolutely, that makes sense. Yes, of course. Are you buying that? I'm not here to cause any problems. I just want to get along. I want to get my numbers and my metrics and my likes and move on. I don't need this shit. She made it strong to say no when everyone else says yes. And that matters more than likes. You know it. That matters in the long run more than trends, and that matters more than fame, because that is fame. There's nothing more famous than intrepidity and bravery. When people try to tear her down, it only proves how much she matters. Remember, you only take flack when you're over the target. And you don't attack someone who's powerless. You attack someone who threatens the story that you want to protect. And she wants to protect Charlie and his legacy. And even if his wife, his widow, doesn't give a damn about it, apparently, or anybody else, that's not going to stop Candace. Because she threatens fake stories. She threatens easy lies. She threatens systems and organizations and groups that depend on silence and acquiescence. And that's why she keeps going. And the truth is simple. Without Candace Owens, you would know less. You would ask less. You would accept more lies. You wouldn't even know what were lies. We would be weaker as a culture. She buoys us. She gives us. She fortifies the spirit. She wants us to go out and ask the questions. And with her voice in the conversation, people are stronger, and they're louder, and they're braver, and they're more aware. She reminds us that standing up is not optional. if you care about kids, if you care about children, if you care about families in the future, and Charlie and his legacy and his family. She reminds us that silence is not easy, and silence is not neutral. Silence always helps the wrong side. Silence, oh my God. Sometimes it's hard to keep silent. Sometimes people have to fight every instinct to be silent, believe it or not. So this is not about praising one person. This is about recognizing what courage looks like in real life and hoping that it will act as an inspiration to others down the road. See, it looks like asking hard questions. It looks like refusing to shut up. That's what this looks like. That's what bravery looks like. It looks like standing up alone if you have to. And that's what Candace does. And what fortifies her more is when somebody comes after her and lets her have it or tries to. And then she says, oh, no. I'm going to teach you a lesson. And that's why the world is better, because she didn't stay quiet. And that's why she's an inspiration to a lot of people. And that's the lesson. Remember, it can be a lot easier for her. Don't wait for someone else to speak first. Don't think your voice is too small. And don't believe that truth has an expiration date. Speak up. And don't think in her particular case that it is without risk. We can only imagine what threat she's received. We can only imagine. And I hope I'm sure there's a lot of big talkers, but it's very scary when you're by yourself and you're called everything from a hate monger and anti-American to an anti-Semite, and you're proposing hate, and you're vilifying Charlie, and you're a conspiracy theorist, and you're a nut. Anything else left? That would normally shut people down, not her. She says, good. Is that the best you can come up with? Plus, we've heard these before. She embraces guests on her show and people that nobody would touch with a 10-foot pole. Why? Because she wants to. Same for Tucker. Tucker talks to people. Anybody he wants to. It's a free country. You don't own her. You don't own us. So my friends, speak up, stand firm, choose courage. That's what she's saying. This is how change starts. This is how lies fall apart. This is how the future gets stronger and more fortified. And we become more powerful. That's what bravery looks like. That's what this is about. Let me tell you something. Every day, I don't know about you, but I run to the site and say, what is she doing today? What is she doing today? What sacred cow, what group, what institution is she destroying with her words? Destroying. I love it. Because I love people. Think of it, all of us. We're a country that supposedly loves heroes. We love George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. We love these people. Washington and our forebears would have been hanged. I go to Philly a lot. I'm there a lot. And whenever I watch and I see that Independence Hall, there it is. The cradle of liberty, where they had to close the doors, the windows in the summer because nobody could hear them. They were sweating and sweltering and just the brightest minds, the greatest minds in the world that fought to start something, and there was no blueprint for any of this. There are many of us out there. Let me tell you something on a different note too. Do you know who was responsible for, whenever you, depending upon what you think about this Epstein business, but do you know who was responsible for the dissemination of that? Us. When I say us, I mean this medium, us, social media. Social media. This is more powerful than anything anybody has ever seen. There is no way to compare it. The weakest voice is multiplied. There's a multiplicative aspect to it. We're sitting here and we're saying, you better not turn your back on this. We want answers to this. We want answers. And for the longest time, we've been talking about Epstein. It's like, how dare you? You're not going to do this. And there was some speed bumps, and, Pam Bondi announced something. I don't know what happened, but it got done. And people are going berserk. And some people are going to be caught up in the crossfire. Some people that you might have said, like, well, but you know what? We're not talking about somebody going to a retreat. We're not talking about somebody who picked a bad Travelocity, timeshare. There's more to that than this. And there's more to Candace's story than just Candace or Erika. The people that were responsible for the elimination of one of the most powerful voices in America today, the people, and you know and I know, they were not Tyler Robinson. If you don't know that story, if you believe that crap, I got a bridge to sell you. My God. Have we not learned what the MO of this is? He looks crazy. Nobody's going to question him. He's crazy. What are you going to do? Look at him. And if something, God forbid, happens to him, by the way, Tyler, don't buy the green bananas. Ask to be moved wherever you're being held. Go someplace else. Go to some abandoned Air Force base where you can have serious feds watch you. You know, there are prisons, as you know, where they have lights and detectors that can tell drops in body temperature in the event something happens to you, in the event something happens to you as in your life. If your temperature drops suddenly, it takes off every bit of food, everything that's ingested, everything is looked at and investigated. There's something called noose on a bun from the dark arts of poisoning, where somebody who is in confinement can be given something seemingly innocuous, and then the binary agent, the trigger, it's almost like an epigenetic type of poison. It's given something toxic, and that's when it kicks in. And the results, when looked at later on, break down into nothing. Oh, there are so many ways to dispatch. That's why the funny thing about Mr. Epstein, his removal, that's why it was so interesting, because they didn't have to do that. They could have done it very, very easily, but they wanted to do it. They wanted you to know this. They wanted it drastic and bold and naked, and they don't want you to ask questions. See, that's one of the things which I think Candace has made obvious. These people love to do things obviously. They want to take Erika, and they want to say less than a week, 6 days after your husband's brutal, savage slaughter, we want you to go out pushing, TPUSA like some timeshare, like Glenn Ross. Closers. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And I'm going to say this again. Candace's juxtaposition, her comparison of Kobe Bryant's eulogium, that of his wife, compared to what he did, was almost textbook perfect. She didn't say, as Candace says, she didn't push for, get your Lakers season tickets. Kobe would have wanted that. No, he would not have wanted it. So, my friends, I thank you for that. And I thank you, as always. I never forget how beautiful you are and how great you are and how grateful I am for you for being a part of this. And your incredibly wonderful, kind words. Not to me, but my wife as well, at Lynn's Warriors. Please subscribe to her on YouTube. Because right now, by virtue of these Epstein drops, maybe, just maybe we can get a fire under, or in the belly, rekindle the fire, I should say. I'm mixing metaphors. To find out what happens to our children every single year. So thank you for that. Also, your thoughts and comments are wonderful. I have a section, as I always do at the end, some questions for you to answer. Normally about 5 questions that might spur discussion and the like. And also, please like this video. Hit the little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And also, very, very important, very, very critical, that you stay tuned and stay attuned and stay connected and let me know what you think. And join us. We're doing more live. The live streams are so much fun because it continues this. Remember, the issue is not Candace and the issue is not Charlie Kirk per se or Erika. It's something bigger. That is a symptom of a problem, of a systemic metastatic cancer that infects and invades and will destroy our constitutional liberty if we don't stop it. And we want people to understand, if you mess with one of us, you get all of us. It's that simple. One for all for one, whatever the 3 Musketeers say. In any event, my dear friends, thank you so much. Have a great and a glorious day. Have a wonderful day. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. And now please comment as you see fit.